Hello everyone, I'm Shruti Pandey, interning at the Sparks Foundation as a data science and the business analytics. Task given to me is, as a security or a defense analyst, try to find out the hot zones of the terrorism across the world, find out the security issues and the insights that can be derived from the EDA. EDA is nothing but the exploratory data analysis based upon the global terrorism, which is provided by the Sparks Foundation itself. So the major motive of this task is based upon the data visualization. So a brief about the data visualization. Data visualization is a very important and the eminent skill in the applied statistics and the machine learning. Data visualization is a graphical representation of the information and the data which is provided to us in a particular data set. Now let's see how I have tried to analyze the dataset. Firstly, I have imported all of the necessary libraries, which includes the NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn and Matplotlib. NumPy is used for the fundamental scientific computation and the mathematical operations. Pandas is used for the data manipulation and the analysis. Matplotlib is used for the data visualization and plotting the graphs, and Seaborn can be considered as the extension of the Matplotlib. Seaborn is used for making the beautiful and the attractive statistical graphics, which is nothing but the data visualization. Then I have imported Folium. In data visualization projects, sometimes we have a geographical components. These may include the distribution of the certain phenomena in a country, region or the continent. So Folium will enable us to depict the geographical maps. Next, I have loaded the data, which includes the data collection, integration, cleaning and pre-processing. Pre-processing and the understanding of the data begins here. I have tried to explore the dataset in every possible way. Here I have seen all of the columns which are present in the dataset. Then different functions I have used, like describe, values or column values, then data types of the columns and correlations, etc. I have renamed few of the columns as per my convenience. Here I have eliminated few of the columns which were not useful for the analysis of this dataset. I have included only those columns which are very important and is affecting the dataset analysis. After pre-processing of the data, these are the columns which I found to be very useful and required for the analysis. Here I am collecting only those columns which have the data type like int or the float, means which are the numerical columns for the visualization purpose. This NaN I have replaced by 0 in the upcoming cells. Number of the deaths versus the database index in the United States. I have plotted a graph. In the y-axis there are the number of the deaths, and in x-axis we have database index. We can see that most of the graph are clustered toward the number of the injuries versus the database index. Here the y-axis is representing the number of injuries and the x-axis the database index. The actual global terrorism visualization begins here. So the number of the attacks in a year, this graph represents the number of the attacks in a year. The y-axis is representing the year and the x-axis is representing the number of the attacks. We can see that in the year 2014 we have the maximum terrorist attacks. Next graph depicts the terrorist activity by region each year. This is basically an area graph. Here the different regions are being depicted by the different colors, and we can see the x-axis has the years and the y-axis has the number of the attacks. We can see that the major terrorist attack has been after 2010, mostly it is 2014 here, where the major attacks has been done by the few region. Next graph depicts the killed and the wound scatter plot. So the y-axis is representing the wound and the x-axis is representing the killed people. Next graph, it is a terrorist attack of a particular year and their location. So this map I have done using the Folium, where we can see this nice geographical map, and we can actually see if there were some Here I have tried to obtain those 20 countries which were adversely affected by the terrorism. Here I have taken top 20 terrorist groups. Next graph depicts the top 20 affected countries. graph is topped by the Iraq, followed by Pakistan and the Afghanistan. Next graph has the deaths due to the attack. The y-axis is representing the number of the people killed, and the x-axis is representing the year. We can see that it is maximum in 2014. Our next graph is top 20 most affected city. So y-axis has the number of the attacks and the x-axis has city. We can see that the Baghdad, Karachi and the Lima are mostly affected city. Next is a bar chart which depicts the attack types with the attack count. We can see that bombing, explosion, armed assault and the assassination have the more number of the count. These are the major attack types. Next we have the number of the people killed due to the different attacks. It is majorly armed assault and the bombing, explosion, where people have been killed by these two attacks. Then we have the number of the people wounded due to the attack. It is only majorly because of the bombing, explosion that more people have been wounded. Next graph has the number of the attacks in a different target areas. We can see that it is majorly private citizens and property, followed by military and police, which have the major which are the major target area for the terrorist attack. Then the next graph represents the top 10 terrorist groups, which are Taliban, then we have the Islamic State of the Iraq and the Levant, and then followed by the Shining Path. Next graph represents the top 10 terrorist groups ranked by the people killed, and which includes the Islamic State of the Iraq and the Levant, followed by Taliban and then Boko Haram. The next graph is pie chart which depicts the types of the terrorist attack that cause harm. We can see that majorly this is blue and green, which depicts the armed assault and the bombing and explosion. Then we have the last graph, that is the number of the people killed by the terrorist in the specific country. We can see this as Afghanistan. So most of the people have been killed in the Afghanistan. Now coming to the conclusion and the result, we can conclude that most vulnerable city is Baghdad, most vulnerable country is Iraq, most vulnerable region to attack is Middle East and the North Africa. Year with the most attack is 2014, month with the most attack is 5, group with the most attack is Taliban, and the type of the attack mostly used is bombing and explosion.